let's do it. Just go. All right, my name is Tony Washington. I am the 2D artist, matte painter, and sound designer for Mixmaster Mike's Magma Chamber 360 VR.
And I am Jonathan Winbush. I do motion graphics and visual effects. I'm kind of the guy that did all the CG work and the compositing and bringing Tony's vision to life.
Oh, okay. No, you definitely do more than that, man. Yeah, but so definitely we got our start doing this project. I am, again, my background's 2D art, so I've done a lot of production for comic books, animation, matte painting type stuff. And I do a lot of Mike's covers for all of his albums. And with this newest album, Magma Chamber, he wanted to push the envelope on what we could do with a music video experience. So Jonathan was just like, why don't we try pushing this to VR, man? And I was like, yes, let's do that. So we presented the idea to Mike, and he was just like, he was definitely taken back by the idea of pushing this, being able to live in his album versus just watching it on a TV screen. So this is some of the early concepts and the actual album cover and poster art that was done for the actual album, Magma Chamber. And from there, as we started getting in production for the full-on 360 experience, did some storyboards just to kind of get some beats of what we wanted to do and accomplish with inside 360 VR. This is some of the rough layouts from the alley sequence that you guys are going to see shortly, fully realized. Some of the chamber concepts of some of the things like falling speakers and some of the cages that the dancers are in, they fall into the magma, and a lot of different ideas like that. Some of the costume design elements that we had designed as well for some of the dancers that are in the video that you see shortly. But here definitely is some of the start of the actual CG production for the Magma Chamber. Let Jonathan talk about that.
Yeah, I mean, we could get more in depth. I'll open up cinema, but what you're seeing right here is inside the first scene. So when you're inside the Magma Chamber, it starts off, you're inside a car ride, and you have a female beside you and a passenger. Her name's Lisa. But I mean, to get us started, we created a car in Cinema 4D, and then using a render engine called Octane, we actually rendered it out as an equitangular format. So that's why it kind of has like that fish lens effect.
Right.
And then you might click to the next one. Yeah, so I sent Tony originally like the fisheye looking, the one that you saw right there, and then he actually took it into, Photoshop?
Yeah, it's brought into Photoshop.
Yeah, hand painted like fine details over top of like all the crevices and.
Yeah, definitely. Just to kind of bring that album aspect to the liner that we had inside that, just to kind of meld it right back into that world again, just to add that extra layer. And from there, Jonathan definitely worked his magic on top of my line art, and this is the final composite render that you'll see shortly in the actual experience. Yeah.
So the whole idea behind it was like Mixmaster Mike also had a comic book series that Tony was working on with him. So a lot of his artwork is within this comic book type world that him and Mike came up with. And so that's why we had Tony paint all the fine details that you see on the SUV there. And then also, once I brought everything into After Effects, you see Lisa here. She actually, when you see her inside the goggles, she almost looks like she is a cartoon, because inside of After Effects, once we composited her in there, we added like tune filters on here and kind of gave her like that water painting type look to it. And so you can see like the crevices and the accents through black lines and over top of her.
Yeah, definitely. And then as from this sequence, the car ends up crashing and transits to our next sequence, which is going to be in the alley. And here is the initial sketch that I did on my iPad. Just to kind of get a mood and set the tone for what you were going to see next. From there, I took this sketch with a green screen shoot that we got from an individual right over here. And I composited that into Photoshop and brought that all together to get the more of a tone piece to kind of get set the bar for what we're trying to look for as far as the line art, the lighting, the texture, color.
Yeah, basically. When I asked Tony, I was like, let's come up with some concept art for the next environment.
Right.
He ended up sending me this, and I'm like, how in the heck am I supposed to recreate this in CG?
Nah, man.
And so this is the very first scene that we started to really work out our workflow, because it's like they made this great environment, and I wanted to keep the assets and everything together and really, try to bring forth all the mood lighting and everything that you guys had in there and make it look illustrative. So Is the next one?
Yeah. So.
Oh, well, that's the equitangler. But basically, the way that Tony and I were working was can I jump on there real quick?
Go for it.
So when we were coming up with our workflow for the alley scene, let me see if I... Yes, I have a little video kind of what I was doing. So as I was working, I was videotaping myself. So for each of the different blocks inside the environment, I had Tony actually like flatten them out and repaint custom textures that I could take in Photoshop and make bump maps out of. Like you see me here trying to reference exactly what he was doing. So this is the vent. And then, I'm cutting out the pieces of the vent, and I'm actually turning them into normal maps and bump maps, so that when I bring them into Cinema 4D, we get that layered depth in there. And then here you can kind of see a basic builder blocks of how we created it. And so just looking back at reference of what Tony was doing here, yeah, you can kind of see what I'm taking like his concept art and I'm rebuilding everything in Cinema 4D.
Right.
But it wasn't exactly looking the same, even though he's passing me his assets over. I mean, it looked good, but it didn't look like what this was here. And so basically after contemplating it for a while, Tony was like, why don't you send me over a still and I'll kind of paint over it and add some of the detail, which I didn't even think was possible at first. And so I passed over, let me see, actually let me open it up in After Effects.
Yeah.
But I passed them over just like a basic generic render out of Cinema what we were working on, and I passed them this EXR file, which I'm going to open up in there to kind of show you how it looked before and then how it looked after. But
yeah, definitely. This was the alley was the piece that kind of created our whole workflow. From this view, you kind of use those same building blocks for the hallway sequence and the final chamber sequence that you guys might be able to see on the iPad as well. But this is exactly how we build our workflow in this.
Yeah, so if you look here, I mean, this is essentially after we created all the textures and all the assets, I sent Tony this file right here, like I didn't even QMap it, I don't know why. I sent him this equitangler file and it's like, all right, go ahead and go to town with it. And what he sent me back, I mean, I was just floored, like, actually, we have the Photoshop file here, right?
Yeah, Photoshop file's there, yeah.
Is it the owl? Okay.
Well, the chamber file is there, but the alley sequence, as far as it's in the PDF.
Oh, well, yeah. I think I have I think this flat one is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so this one is the after.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, so I don't know if you guys can see that, but like here's the before, and so this is what I did out of my CG render, and then this is the after Tony actually matte painted over top of what I did there. And then to make sure we were getting everything right, we actually used the Oculus in real time. I don't know if somebody want to throw it on? It's running here. You want to see it?
Yeah, please check it out.
Actually, I have to get it to go.
Yeah, because a lot of the stuff, Jonathan was literally working within that VR space to kind of get everything laid out.
Yeah, so if I throw it within the workspace.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, yeah, so I was able to actually work in real time in
awesome,
VR. No, you can keep it on a second, because I'm going to show you what, so this is, tell me if you see a difference. So this is the before, this is right out of Cinema, and then this is the after. Yeah, so we're able to see in real time.
Thanks, man. Yeah, we really wanted to have something that could feel on its own within that environment. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so really stylize it, make it feel as if you're inside this comic book type world.
Yeah.
That we created. And then let me see, this will be our final one here.
Right.
So after he sent me that back, then I took his PSD file, kind of broke everything down just so I could add Z-space and depth and really go to town adding our minions and our green screen footage in there. So this is what the final composite looks like within After Effects. So, I mean, essentially we started off with this. I mean, it looked good, but it was flat. Tony added, you know, his detail in there. And then that was our final there. And then from there, I mean, once we figured out that workflow, I mean, all the other scenes were pretty much easy from there.
Yeah, definitely.
And so we just kept that going forward. That probably took like, what, a month to figure out? So,
once we got, exactly. Once we got that exact workflow down, once I could realize I could paint directly on top of those maps, it kind of changed exactly what we were going for. So yeah, it was great.
And then, I mean, he got so good at matte painting over top of the, I'm gonna pull up your PSD here.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah, this one has a few layers on it, so.
I think it should work, but yeah, like I went on vacation for a little bit, so I sent him like, is the layers here?
Yeah.
He was like, just send me something so I could keep working. And so I sent him something that was really basic, like it doesn't even look like the final result.
Just click that main group, you'll see it.
Well, which one is it?
Just click this top one. The other one on top. There's the initial.
So right before I left for vacation in July, I mean, I gave him this as like building blocks to kind of show what we're kind of dealing with. And when I came back a week later, I mean, he painted like.
It's fun to be able to know that I could literally paint in that kind of space, to be able to have that kind of power to use a matte painting to be able to make you think that you're inside 3D space. So yeah, it was awesome to do that.
I still don't even understand how he did it. So when he came back, and I mean, you can see all the Photoshop layers here. I mean, I basically took all these layers in Photoshop and I brought them back into After Effects, and I mean, you can see it here. I mean,
yeah, definitely.
Actually, I had to compress a lot of it. I mean, I think I had like 300 layers that I was working with at one point. But yeah, I mean, this is all from Tony's thing, and then you can see up here, like a lot of these assets we shot like on green screen. Like if you look at the girls floating up here, like they're all shot on green screen, and then we used the Mettle software to kind of composite them back into the real world. And then does like that swing and chain thing, like Tony gave me those assets separately so that I could work all the compositing magic in there. And then same with Mike. Mike was shot on the green screen shoot that we did there. I think do we have a photo?
Might not be one on that particular file.
Yeah, I don't see that one here.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, once we got an understanding of how the software works, it was easy to integrate the live action into the CG world that we were trying to create. And like I know at the time when we did this, there wasn't, like people were kind of like hacking cameras together with like the GoPros. And so that really wasn't an option for us because, I mean, we kind of did this as a project of love.
I guess you could say. It's definitely passion.
So, yeah, it was a passion project. And so even though we invested our own time and money into it, we weren't ready to buy like a camera rig like that. So this was kind of a way that we could use like our creative talents and still, hang with the big guys out there doing 360 video. Yeah. Once you, I mean, it's like when you have a hurdle, you just gotta find a way over it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Figure it out.
Yeah, no,
exactly.
you have to.
And then, is there anything else you wanted to?
We can scroll through some of the more, some of the other concept and line art and all that kind of stuff you'd like to.
Yeah. Go ahead, you could go over the basics.
So yeah, again, this was another concept line art piece I did on my iPad, just to kind of get it, again, just to lay out what we were going to go with. The concept art was this piece that was painted up in Photoshop. And then from here was the render that I received based off a texture maps that Jonathan and I bounced back and forth with. And then I went again using the same technique earlier, painted directly on top of that map with just, again, line art and Photoshop and different kinds of atmospheric effects. And then the final render that Jonathan definitely hooked up as usual was this one, and that's the final piece that was used inside the actual 360 VR. This was the initial concept for the chamber itself and the reveal poster that we had at this year's San Diego Comic-Con. And again, the liner was done on my iPad, and then I just brought that over to Photoshop. And again, this is some of the breakdown that Jonathan was talking about earlier for the PSD files. So, you know, some of the layers that I had gone through to create it. I think the total layer count was about 170-ish layers.
Really? That was more than that.
Well, after I compressed it down, it was more. But
yeah, felt like I got more.
Yeah, you probably got 500. But but the final one, yeah, was down to around that ballpark. And then the final composite again from Jonathan was that one that was, you know, from After Effects and everything I've been putting together through using Mettle as well. So. Again, hopefully you guys can get a chance to check out the full experience. It's out now, either through either YouTube, Facebook, Viridio.
Yeah, through the basically anywhere that has 360.
Yeah, it's out now. But definitely, if there's any questions anyone may have or anything, we'd be more than happy to help or answer anything we can. But I hope you guys enjoy seeing it though.
No questions, just prompts.
Oh, thank you guys.
I mean, one thing that I can, the one thing I can show that I like to call this Winbush, or this technique the Winbush, because I feel like I came up with it. But like when you're inside the Magma Chamber, like there's like fire embers kind of going all around you and fog and smoke. And that was one of the things I was really having problems with, because I mean, I can do it in cinema, but the render time was going to be longer than what we had, because we wanted to premiere this at Comic-Con. And so I think I only had like maybe a week left. So it's like, with Particular and After Effects, I was able to work really fast to just bring those little environmental effects together. So I could do a real-time demo, we'll just call this Test Particular, just to kind of show you how fast you could bring in atmospheric effects using the SkyBox stuff. So if I go down here to my scripts and go to the creator, the camera null. So just for time's sake, we'll just do 30 FPS. We'll do like 10 seconds. So basically what I'm setting up right now is 1024 by 1024 box that I'm going to create this particle world in that's going to show up all around us. And the cool thing is, in real time, I can see inside the Oculus exactly what I'm doing. And so if you look here, we have our SkyBox camera, and that's going to be dead center inside of our world. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add our particles that are going to kind of be all around us. So just using Trapcode Particular, which it works in like the 3D space. And with the new Particular, it's really cool because, no, not right now. All right, with the new Particular, it has this fast builder where you can actually see your particles and stuff building up in real time, and actually you can work off of defaults. Like, I mean, you have this one moon dust here, which pretty much takes us 90% there. So all I have to do is go to my gravity, reverse the gravity, and now there's our fire embers that are kind of growing up. I don't know if you can, oh yeah, you can see it there.
Yeah, right there.
So yeah, those are the embers that we have coming off of the lava splashes, and I kind of make it a little bit bigger, make it easier to see. And so, I mean, if we really want to get crazy, we can even add like a little turbulence to it. So now when it's going up, it's, it's fighting the gravity, and it's moving not linear, but more non-linear. And so, I mean, for demo's sake, I guess that we'll do that.
Yeah.
Then just to make it a little bit easier to see, I'll make it red. Can you see that on there? No, it's a little bit hard to see.
There it goes.
All right. So I just make them large so that you guys can see them there. I can even add like a glow. There we go. So all right, so basically, I mean, just real quick, we already have these particles. When you put on the Oculus, you actually see these particles all around you. I mean, it literally took me like 2 minutes to build. And our way that we could kind of see what we're doing is, we'll just go to the extractor that they have here, and you'll see this will build all the cameras that you need all around you. So I'll do it on high, extract it, and then after it's done working, you'll see that it creates your 360 environment. So you can see all your cameras here. It's looking beside you, above you, below you, above, or yeah, you get the idea, but in all different angles. And we have our master camera here. And your master camera is basically our DK2. So whenever we go into our preview, you should be able to see. Let's see. Hold on, I gotta pour our video viewer back up. Oh. Is it not showing up now?
I don't know.
Oh.
There it is.
Well, you should have been able to. Let's see. But yeah, you can see it working in real time. It should have showed up in our preview though. Let me try it one more time.
Sure.
Okay, so if I go to SkyBox Master, Edge Blend. Oh, there we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, just a reminder that the book signings are happening back by the Mac store. Don't miss
There.
your chance
All right,
to
so now if somebody wants to try it on and see anybody want to look inside here? You want to see it or no? You want to try it? Well,
Yeah, definitely. Go
there
for
you
it, man.
Yeah, so if you look inside there, you actually see the particle world that we just built all around you, and you can actually see it moving. Well, we didn't do a RAM preview, but it will give you. Yeah, so then it's like you can render that out and then bring that back into your composite.
Thanks, man.
That's exactly what we did for the Magma Chamber, and you can do the same thing with smoke and fire embers and all types of
definitely
crazy
get
stuff.
that atmosphere
and then,
in there.
Yeah, even we did that with rain inside the alley scene. We had rain dropping on the same way. So yeah. But is there anything else you want to cover on there?
Oh,
or?
no, definitely. I mean, I think it's cool to be able to see a little bit more, like you just showed behind the scenes. But yeah, I mean, if there's any questions, we can definitely answer. Be more than happy to help with any of that. So.
Does anybody have any questions or?
No. I think we're good. Well, thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to check out what we had. So, really appreciate it.